Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this Open Banking's webinar, opportunity for us to look at the rethinking of the business model. I think we have a huge opportunity within the changes that are going on in financial services at the moment to draw upon excellent expertise from our panel today, but also from an excellent report that Wavestone have produced. Let me first of all just briefly introduce our speakers that are going to share with you some of the insights today in terms of activity. From Wavestone, we have Sebastian Chevalier and Joel Najatu, who are going to be taking you through not only the presentation itself, but also some of the questions afterwards. But I'm also delighted that we've got three brands, major brands that are represented from CaixaBank, Citi and Societe Generale, that actually give us an opportunity to hear from practitioners and experts within this particular field. So welcome to Yus Lenzer, Tony McLaughlin and Yves Blavet this afternoon to be able to share some of their thoughts. This is a major area of activity for many banks around the globe. I think in my role as CEO of Efma, I've spent a lot of time over recent months talking to senior leaders in banks around the world. And one of the subjects comes to the fore over and over again is this need to look at the business model going forward. COVID has had a huge impact on many aspects of our lives, and particularly in financial services, it's impacted on the business model, on costs, on digitization, but a need to really refocus on how we're going to drive business going forward. And I'm delighted that the research today enables us to add value to the debate that's going on. And I think rather than me talk much more at this stage, it's far better for us to have the opportunity to hear from Sebastian in terms of the detail itself. As you can see, the agenda will be one that takes us opportunity to get from the insights from this research on open banking, and then to spend some time as a panel discussing some of the issues. So Sebastian, over to you to take us through the report itself.
Okay, thank you, John. So let's start with the first slide. Thank you. So as you all probably know, there are three ways to look at open banking, or three models. The first one consists in improving existing value chain to remain competitive by bringing new technologies from fintech, regtech, or vendors. So this is more a vertical model, and it can be complemented with two others. The second one, where banks can build or join platform to package products and services from third parties. And this is the third one, you can provide banking services to wider ecosystem and bring banking expertise to these new distributors. So for our study, of course, all approaches bring value, but we think that that traditional banks have a key role to play in the third one, because of their full coverage of financial services. So we decided to carry out a survey and to put the focus on this model with Efma. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of our participants for their contribution. Because so far, we have around 50 banks that answered to the survey, and we'll show some figure and some insights from them. So the study aims to get quantitative insights on bank ambition and achievements, and that's what we try to show you in the next minute. So we can go to the next slide, please. Okay, so as a start, we tried to get an overview of open banking readiness, and we based it on 5 capabilities. As you can see on this slide, we can speak about innovative use case based on open distribution model. We also speak about agnostic services that can be both provided through internal and external channels, but also we have security consideration, the ability to deliver quickly and at the best cost, and finally the way you can provide assets API data or other in the simplest way. So we asked our participants to give us some insight on their achievements on all of these 5 capabilities. And the good news is that banks are showing a great interest on each of these 5 subjects because 70 of the players already started on at least 2 capabilities. So they already started their open banking journey. So this is a good news, but I think that the best news is that we are going to spend 2 exciting years as banking professionals, but also and mostly as customers, because 7% consider that they are fully or partially operational on these capabilities. So meaning there is a lot to come in the next 2 years. And we can go on the next slide, please. So another way of looking at open banking readiness is to take the business perspective. On retail market, we can clearly observe that we have three waves. The first one concerns payments and onboarding, and of course, they are the very first services that we can open to new distributors. And here you can see that there is a little effect of PSD2 regulation on payments. And of course, because we have half of our participants coming from Europe. So payments opening is really the main priority, that's the main topic. Then we have a second wave that puts the focus on daily or everyday banking services that can be easily embedded in non-banking ecosystems. Could be anything, any platform, any distributors. You can provide them with advanced account management services, savings, or consumer credits. And finally, we have the next wave that concerns more sophisticated products. And on these products, so we can talk about insurance, real estate mortgages. And on this product, bank could choose either to open and to sell the entire value chain or only sell a specific expertise. And this is some new model we can consider. You could decide to sell only an advanced simulation algorithm, a new score, or guarantee checking, for example. So we have all of these 3 ways on the retail market. And could you please go to the next one? No, previous, just before this one, please. Yeah, thank you. So we see that banks are in motion, but with what priorities? And you remember our 5 open banking capabilities. We asked banks to pick 2 of them as their main priority for the next 2 years. So the first that was ranked is to identify the best use case and based on open distribution model. So for 65 of our participants, this is the first priority. So we have some key factors here to make this happen. The first one will be leverage your best value chains and consider new services beyond financial products. We'll talk later about some of these services and we put the focus on new services that you can bring by leveraging your data. And the second one is to deliver faster. As you can see, a 2 months delay from idea to go to market will be the new standards for the best open distribution players. We have around 60% of participants that think that they have to deliver new services, new products in less than 2 months to be really competitive. And the best in class target 1 month. But beyond delivery speed, I would like to highlight 2 points. First, as a solution provider, bank will endorse more responsibilities towards their business partners and have to commit on strong SLA. So, of course, you already do it. You already have partners within groups, with joint ventures, but the challenge here with open distribution is to bring it to scale and really serve with excellency a large number of partners and a large diversity of partners. And the second one is that the open banking shift is a real opportunity to improve your architecture and bring modern concepts in it. Could speak about API, of course, but event-driven, cloud enabler, or anything like that. And the first reason for that is that for most players, it's quite impossible to deliver in 2 months without doing it. And the second reason will be that distribution partners will not only buy your product, but they will also buy the underlying technology. And this technology contributes to your reputation on the market. So those are the two main priorities, but in order to achieve it, we had a question regarding the open banking initiative and teams organization. As you can see, to meet these challenges, banks have set up open banking departments or mixed teams with business and technological stakeholders with very clear objectives. So you can see that the priorities I just described are here are the main priorities for open banking teams, and they are fully committed on it. But the survey also shows that open banking composition the open banking composition reflects these priorities with a significant contribution from business line. As you can see, there are 34% of business experts in the typical open banking, which really is a marker of that business focus. So we can go to the next slide. Thank you. So we just talked about new services and assets to beat the competition, and we'll now focus on two of them. So first insight from the study is that offering a wide variety of wide channel enablers will make a real difference to acquire new partners. So to be clear and to be short, we have to think beyond API. For 26% of our participants, providing API to reach to use your services or banking products is enough to reach the market. But 74 considers that bringing new assets and ready-to-use assets to your partners would be a key differentiator to acquire them. So here we are talking about providing white label web application, widget, chatbot. For example, in insurance sectors, you have Lemonway that provide chatbots so that any distributor can embed it in its own application or customer journey to use their products. So to make it clear here, we really think that banks have to think beyond API providing with all of these new assets. And we will now see a second idea, always in new services consideration. You can go. Sorry for in the next slide. Thank you. So a second idea of new services will be to explore services powered by financial and non-financial data. As you can see, this is a hot topic for many players, and this could be summed in the 3-step processes. First, you have a first range of services that consist in sell and market high-value anonymized data sets. Could be some benchmarks, some customer segment analytics. So this is the first set of data products that you could sell as a banking players. And then you can complement it with 2 other high-value services. The first one is the idea that your customer already trusts you to keep their money. So why not become the ultimate guardian of all their data? By data, I mean, of course, financial data, but also non-financial data coming from other ecosystems. So here we introduce the concept of customer data vault that you could provide and go to market with to have a brand new offer. And then on top of this customer data vault with customer consent, you could temporarily allow third parties to run their algorithm. Could be external algorithm like scoring or any other, and you run it on your own platform, on your secured platform, and only bring the results to your business partner. So this is a new kind of services that banking players are really considering, and that can bring value to the market and be a real differentiator. Can you please go to the next slide? Thank you. So we had a quick overview of what could be an open banking journey and the open distribution perspective. And just to conclude before moving on to the next sequence, I'd like to share 3 takeaways to answer you the best open banking journey as an open distribution player. So the first one, we talked about business and business value. So we think, and the study shows, that we have to be pragmatic. In order to bring value quickly, you have to deep assess your value chain, focus on your strengths to make a real difference on the market. So you don't have to copy competitors, but really know what you want to sell and rely on your strengths. So these new services, they came with a real change of mindsets. So as I said earlier, you become more than a traditional bank, you become a solution provider on the market. And that way you endorse more responsibilities towards your partners, and you are committed to excellence. You must ensure strong SLA and provide them with the best technologies. So there is a real mindset shift in this field. The third takeaway would be to think, as I said, beyond API. I think we really have to listen to business partners, or distributor or third-party distributor, and offer them the best ready-to-use assets to really empower them and complement their services. So here, the keyword is don't think only API, think other widgets, other white label channels, maybe chatbots. There is no limit in this field. And you can really consider it. And last, but I think definitely not least, everything here is about balance. We talked about value, we talked about architecture modernization, which I think is really will be really mandatory in this field. But we have to fine-tune to find the right balance and the better path to go here. And for that, we can really rely and commit open banking teams to reinforce the business society dialogue and find the right balance between short-term outcome. I told earlier we have to deliver new services in a 2-month delay. So we have some really short-term outcome, but you can't sacrifice architecture sustainability, and you have to build strong foundation. So this balance can be really provided by open banking teams. So we had a quick overview of the insight. As we said earlier, the study is still going on, and in the report we have a deep dive in the services that you can provide, in the technology enablers that I was talking about. So stay tuned, and we'll enrich the study report with that element. And so as we reach the end of these sequences, I'll pass the digital floor to Joel for the roundtable.
Thank you, Sébastien, for this insightful presentation that clearly show us open banking is not just another program, but it seems more to be a kind of transformation journey. And obviously, it seems that lots of banks are fully involved in that kind of transformation. So this is a perfect start to ask our panelists how they are coming along with their own initiative for their bank, what kind of open banking projects they have launched, and what are the objectives to become a kind of provider of banking service to other companies or a platform in itself. So Nius, you are the open banking product manager at Keisha. How are you coming along with your open banking initiatives at Keisha?
Thank you for your question. Talking about our strategy, we have developed two approaches to open banking. Firstly, with the integration of third-party services within our Caixa Now digital channels. There, we offer customers a range of non-financial benefits by connecting to third-party with APIs. To give you some examples of that, for retail clients, we've developed a complete travel vertical integrating third parties such as booking.com and a mobility offer through electric scooter with eCultra. And these are revenue share models, and we offer discounts to our clients. In another hand, while talking about new services for small and medium enterprises, we are developing partnerships with fintechs in order to help these kind of clients with their digitalization and be able to offer them the perfect tools to do it. Secondly, we have developed APIs for consulting accounts information and payment initiation, which are available in the CaixaBank API store for third-party providers such as fintechs. So in our next steps in our strategy, we are building new channels to connect to our systems in a direct and online way, so we can fit our customer business needs and help them with their innovation strategy. These new channels will give our clients real-time access to their data and transactions.
Okay, great. So Tony, as Global Head of Emerging Payments at Citi, what kind of initiative have you initiated around open banking, and what are the objectives for your bank?
Yes, thank you, Joel, and that was a very good presentation, Sebastian. Thank you for sharing those insights. So at Citibank, we've been busy for the past couple of years API enabling many of our core services across our retail bank and also our institutional bank. And you asked, Joel, about the objective, and the objective is really to be ready to follow our customers where our customers want to do business. So a good example of that is the CitiPlex account that we're launching in the US in partnership with Google. And that's essentially a Citibank account that fully lives and operates within the Google ecosystem, which is obviously powered by APIs. So some people talk about, there's a famous kind of quote from Mark Andreessen. He said that software is eating the world. It's really platforms that are eating the world, and platforms are where all of our customers wish to transact, be they retail customers or corporate customers. And therefore, if we want to follow our customers into the places where they transact, we must embed our services into those platforms. So I guess to answer your question very directly, Joel, our objective is to be where our customers are and to embed our services into digital platforms.
Okay, I see, Tony. Thank you very much. Same question for you, Yves. I recall you are the head of open banking at Société Générale. What are you doing on open banking agenda at Société Générale?
Tony, can you hear me? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Loud and clear.
Good. I had a strange message, that's why. Okay, as Tony rightly says, the issue is not open banking, the issue is platforms, because platforms are all over the place. So what we are trying to achieve at Société Générale is to be on both sides of platforms. We want to sell our products and services through platforms. So we want to sell through third parties, and we want ourselves to become platforms. So on the one hand, how do you sell to platforms? Well, what Société Générale is doing, for instance, a couple of years ago, we purchased a fintech whose name is Trésor. And Trésor is providing payment accounts, payment execution services, cards, payment acquisition to whoever needs that kind of service. Our clients, we have 70 clients working for Trésor. They can be neobanks, they can be transfer systems, whatever. And Trésor is actually the banking engine behind those services. We have also launched in the insurance world. We've launched an insurtech, which is known as Moonshot Internet, which is providing to platforms various types of insurance. You can insure goods. For instance, somebody is buying a mobile phone on a platform. You are going to insure that mobile phone when it is purchased. We sell travel insurance, for instance. We also sell flight delays insurance. If your flight is delayed, you don't even have to claim anything. You just receive whatever was agreed in the contract, in the insurance contract, and that's it. Okay, and we tend to develop a number of other services, which I cannot comment here because there are many of them, insurance, leasing, whatever, that can sell to platforms. The second side, we said, is how do you become a platform yourself? Well, two examples. For instance, we've launched a neobank which is going to specialize in small businesses and which is going to give our clients the best of both worlds, meaning a fully digital bank, but also giving access to physical branches whenever that is needed for advice. So that is known as Prismia. On the wholesale banking, as well, on the wholesale banking side, we have a state-of-the-art platform, which is known as SG Markets, and which is providing all kinds of capital markets, corporate and investment banking services to our clients. And at the end of the day, you don't do that alone. You need to have relationships with startups, fintechs. The innovation department I belong to is managing our investment funds in fintechs and startups known as SG Ventures. It takes minority stakes in fintechs and startups, but also majority stakes. Recently, we purchased a successful neobank which is specializing in independent workers known as Shine. Which has been part of the Société Générale group for a couple of months. And just a word of conclusion, this is not only in France, it's all over the place. We have open banking activities in Eastern Europe, we have them in North and West Africa, and of course, in wholesale banking all over the world.
Great, thank you, Yves. Another question that come out of the survey related to the key success factors of an open banking program. What are the main difficulties you are currently facing? And if you would like to share with us some lessons learned from your work dealing with open banking, would be highly appreciated. Maybe could we start with Tony? At Citi,
Sure.
What are the main troubles you're facing?
Well, one of the main troubles that I think we have as an industry is to consider open banking as a compliance project. Because typically, if you look at open banking as complying with PSD2 or whatever regulation, you put essentially a compliance mindset on it and essentially do the minimum that it takes in order to tick the compliance box. And I think that a large number of banks are in that camp where they're essentially doing the bare minimum to comply with a regulation that they don't really see as being something that is a growth opportunity. It's more of a threat of disintermediation. So I think that's number one, is about understanding that open banking is much, much more about being a part of the platform economy than it is about complying with a regulation. So that's number one. Second thing is, you know, the API economy is quite different from, you know, other types of, you know, activities that banks perform. You know, the idea that we will provide, you know, services and lose the customer relationship, some people would say, is really, it goes against the grain. But what we're really seeing in the industry is the unbundling of financial services and the reassemblage of those financial services in different forms. And you can see that very, very clearly in the core of banking, which is lending. So the traditional, you know, product that many banks have for lending to consumers is the credit card. But the credit card is being disintermediated at the point of sale by services like Klarna or Afterpay or Affirm in the US, which are essentially APIs plugged into the checkout. So really, I think the biggest obstacle, two biggest obstacles, Joel, are these. One is, how do we conceive of open banking? Is it a regulatory project, or is it about being part of platforms? And the second thing is, you know, adopting an offense strategy. I mean, once banks get strategic clarity on topics and they realize what they must do, you know, we have a decent amount of resources. We can assemble teams and get things done. But if we follow the first hurdle, which is understanding what the problem is, that's where the issues stem from.
I see. And Yves, is it the same for Société Générale?
Yeah, basically it's the same. I think we have two issues. The first issue is culture. The second issue is IT. Culture, we're talking about open banking. And actually, people in our companies know about banking. They don't really know about open. So let me give you two examples of very stupid things I have heard recently. The first one is, if I have a great product, I'm going to keep it for my own clients. I'm not going to sell it to the clients of my competitors. Okay. And another one is, I've launched this fantastic platform for my clients. Okay. In that case, my question was, oh, by the way, what's your market share? 20%. Well, that's good. 20% is a good market share. But there are 80% of the potential clients out there which you're not addressing. Okay. Today, open means being open to non-clients. Okay. Selling your best products to your own clients, and that's it, means that someone else is going to sell maybe a product which is not as good as yours to the rest of the market. Just doesn't make any sense. If you have a fantastic problem, go global. Okay. Not only do you need to sell it in your own country to all the potential clients, but you need to go abroad as well. Okay, so the issue is, from open banking, dealing with the open side of the equation. And the second issue, of course, is IT. At the beginning, people think it's just selling my old products as they are to platforms, to third parties. Why on earth would they come? You need things that are real-time, scalable, easy to plug in. You need to build that specifically, for instance, to sell banking as a service. So we really need our business lines, our management to understand that it's a different IT we're talking about, that legacy systems are not going to help us reaching our goals. It's all about APIs, microservices, it's already been mentioned, but it's really a cultural shift included actually for our IT people themselves. So these are the two challenges, culture and IT.
And another question then, how do you manage to to solve this culture issue? Is it only communication? Is it only by example? Do you have any clue to share?
I think that before I took this position, I used to laugh at a certain title, which is Chief Evangelist. Now I know what it is all about. And actually, it really means talking to people, explaining again, and internally highlighting. Société Générale is a huge group. We are present in 70 countries. Okay, people cannot know what's going on everywhere. We have so many different activities. So actually, what we are doing is trying to promote internally all the initiatives that are taken in any country, in any business unit. We have created an open banking community of people working all around the world who exchange ideas, who communicate on their projects, and it's a number of things, and you require actually time, a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So, Niels, for Keisha, do you see yourself switching to a kind of chief evangelist position in your bank? What are the key success factors for
I
you?
agree, Yves, that there's a really huge work to do with evangelizing all the company. So, and leave the fear of open and not only banking, that I think it's something really difficult to do inside this kind of organization. And what is clear is that we're facing a not very mature market, so that's why we have fear, and that makes it really difficult to decide what product to develop in an open banking platform, and which of them are going to be a success or not. But I think you need to try. And in my opinion, the key to success is to identify the use cases clearly by cooperation both with customers and with third parties. And so we give them easy access to our environment by one-to-one partnerships. So we are able to fit all their needs and develop their business models before building the technology they need to reach their objectives. So first build business model with cooperation with third parties and customers, and then build the IT part. Moreover, in the other hand, when we are integrating third-party services in our digital channels, I think the key is going beyond a simple prescription model and going through a full technical integration of the services with your ones and keep the value of our digital channels there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you very much, all of you, for these useful insights. Final questions to end with our roundtable. Sébastien has shown us that based on the survey, it seems that open banking is not just about API or API managers, but that should include also other capabilities. He mentioned some banks are working hard around data services, widget, chatbot. Do you agree with that? And what are the value-added services your bank has included into their open banking initiatives? Maybe we could start with you, Yves, for Société Générale.
Yeah, I fully agree that there are a huge number of services that can be offered. We are not only talking, well, APIs are usually the technical means, but the issue is what is the service which is behind the API. I fully agree that data services are going to be increasingly important. For instance, Société Générale, or specifically Boursorama, which is the biggest French pure player in online banking, which is part of the Société Générale group. Boursorama launched the first account aggregator in France, and probably one of the very first, if not the first in Europe, about 8 years ago. Okay, this is a data service when you provide your clients with the ability to import data from their accounts across a number of banks to consolidate them and consolidate those accounts with their account in your bank to start managing their finances. You are providing a data service. This is just one example. But on the investment banking side, for instance, we provide our clients with APIs that they can use to import a wealth of information that we have about their deals with the bank, and they can import to manage their positions with the bank. This is another data service. Okay, but we can provide KYC, know your customer services, to third parties. We bankers know very well our clients. It's a regulatory requirement. For instance, we are people who can certify the fact that a client is over 18 years of age. That is a typical service that can be provided, but most of the time you will be using APIs at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And what about for Keisha, Niels? Any added value service or IT capabilities you include also in your program?
yeah, we see there lots of opportunities. We are not at that point, not yet, but we see with open banking the opportunity to introduce new models to improve our engagement with customers and to benefit our platform, not only our platform, but all the ecosystem. I think for sure it's a path to deepen customer relationships and to create more secure and personalized banking experiences. But as was saying my colleague, being where our customers are with our products and with our services. And I think one of the most important things to keep in mind is to be able to offer our customers and non-customers too the best experience. And for this, we need to create a whole service for them, not only the APIs to connect with us and that.
Mm-hmm. Tony, for Citi?
Yes, Joel. Well, you know, the fact is that underneath a chatbot is an API. Underneath a widget is an API. So the API really is the primitive on which everything else is built. And in thinking about an API strategy, I would really encourage banks to think about three things. One thing is internal APIs. So making sure that your internal systems are accessible through APIs. This is the concept of microservices and making sure that your internal, if you like, real estate, your internal stack of systems is agile. The second thing is what APIs do you publish externally to the platforms, to your partners? And then the third thing is what external APIs you consume. So I really think that the first order of business is for banks to get very, very conversant with APIs, and many things. You can build anything on top of APIs. But a point I would mention is this, 2 points. Number one is, in most banks, the technology function is a back office function. It is a function. Now, that is not the case in the world of big platforms. You know, if you look in all of the companies that are the most valuable platform companies in the world, engineering is the front office. So as a community, as a group of banks, we need to understand that technology is not a back office function. If we continue down this path, I really think we're destined for failure. And my second point is this: all of this conversation today has been about what should an individual bank do on open banking. That's not the question. The real question is, as a regulated community, what do we do collectively? Because, you know, it's very nice if Caixa produced their proprietary APIs, and if you know, SocGen and Citibank produce their proprietary APIs. That's all very nice, but the companies that will consume our APIs, the big tech companies, they have very, very limited and scarce engineering resource. They don't give a damn about the proprietary Citi APIs or Caixa APIs or SocGen APIs. They want the same APIs. And so that's what's missing from this picture, is we need to come together as a group of regulated financial institutions and think about the common APIs for retail banking, the common APIs for wholesale banking. And that effort is completely absent, and it's the biggest gap that we have as an industry.
Mm-hmm. So you are asking for a kind of standardization of API across the various financial institutions then?
Absolutely. And if we don't do that, the big techs will either develop the financial services themselves, or they might as well go to a fintech who can deliver them a good API. But as long as we go to the platforms as individual banks with our own proprietary APIs, it's just, I mean, from their perspective, that's not a good strategy for banks to pursue. So in other words, 80 or 90% of the APIs that banks publish should be common. Should be common.
Do you share, Yves and Nius, a similar objective? Standardize?
I think it makes sense. Yes, indeed, there are many things that should be standardized. For instance, if you see what happens in the UK as opposed to the European community as it is today, we have a limited set of standard APIs with PSD2. The UK standard is much wider, addresses other products, other types of accounts, and this is obviously beneficial to the whole banking community and to all the fintechs and potential clients in the market. So yes, I fully agree. There is a need for standardization. And actually, if banks don't move into that direction, as Tony mentioned, they're going to lose the market to third parties. Either third parties who will interact as interfaces between the clients and the various banks, to translate the APIs of all the banks into one single API, and that's already happening in the market. Or you will have, as Tony mentioned as well, the big tech will do it themselves. So I fully agree.
Okay. Yeah, I agree too with Tony, and yeah, I agree with them too. So if we don't do it and we don't work together and develop our APIs in a standard way, so everyone can connect, someone is going to do it for us, and we will lose this part of the business.
Okay, thank you very much. We are almost reaching the end of this webinar, but you teased our lights on this subject, and I would like to ask you a final question. Very short answer requested, but I can't prevent from asking this question. What are the next steps? What are the next achievements you are looking for in your open banking program, let's say by the end of this year or early next year? What would you like to achieve? Yves, at Société Générale?
What I would like to achieve is for people to understand that this is not a side business. This is not something that is going to generate a little additional P&L or maybe cost a little P&L to third parties. This is a core strategic issue. The platform economy is something which is going to last. It's going to completely restructure the architecture of the banking profession. PSD2 is just the tip of the iceberg. They tend to think regulatory. No, it's much wider than that. I will be satisfied when this has become a core strategic issue for the whole bank.
News on your side? Achievement, short-term achievement?
Yeah, I agree, Yves, too. And I like to point out that for the next months and years, what we want to achieve is to scale those one-to-one partnerships that we are doing, so we can go faster with develop new services and put more clients into the services too.
And what about you, Tony?
Yeah, Joel, this needs to be the year when the banking industry wakes up and really understands that the rules of the game have changed. You know, that we need to deliver a programmable financial system. That's really what's at stake here, a programmable financial system that can be embedded into platforms. You know, why are central banks looking at central bank digital currencies? Why is Facebook looking at developing its own currency? It's because of deficiencies in the banking system. So unless we work together collectively on the right things, you know, for example, in Europe with European Payment Initiative, we're looking at creating another scheme. That's great. But what about pan-European digital identity? What about pan-European API standards that go well beyond PSD2 voluntarily? So we need to wake up this year and understand that the future of banking is about embedding into platforms And I don't think that collectively we're addressing that agenda at all. I think that most banks are still of the opinion that open banking is a regulatory project, and that is the fastest road to losing this game.
Okay, Tony. So once again, you ask for cooperation among financial institutions. Thank you very much to our three panelists for their open and frank answers. I've noticed that the agenda for this transformation journey is more and more important for all banks, but there's still some evangelization to be done within your organization. So thank you very much. I think it's high time for me to pass on to John for final remarks. John, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Joel and Sebastian. Thank you both for your excellent presentation and the quality of the report. I think, as you can see on the screen, you can pre-order the copy from efma.com/open banking research. There's no doubt this whole aspect of banking activity is one that is right at the forefront of the required changes that are going on. I recall, I think it was a couple of years ago, that Gartner produced a report that indicated by the year 2030, some 80% of banks may have disappeared. The issue is a huge amount of competition that is going on within the marketplace now, not just within existing banks, but new banks, and of course the big techs and those that outside of the traditional banking industry that want a slice of the business that you undertake today. The reason they're doing that is, as Tony said, is because actually there are shortfalls in the existing banking system that give them the opportunity to really generate revenues from themselves and deliver value for customers. I saw another report that indicated at least 25% of customers feel entirely comfortable in buying non-banking products from banks. So this whole opportunity of the platform environment enables banks to be able to be part and parcel of a customer's life, being there whenever it is that they're needed, whenever it is that there's a service which actually needs some exchange of value. I think there's been some excellent insights from our panelists today, real value in terms of what they've been doing. You know, these are three leading organizations already at the leading edge of these changes. And I think I'd very much like to thank each and every one of you for your contribution today. Without it, it wouldn't have been the value adding that it's there. This webinar will also be out and available for you to listen to or share with other people at a later date if that's what you so wish to do. But I'm appreciative of the time, appreciative of the inputs from panelists, and especially from Wavestone in terms of the research they've done. And I hope that everybody that's been here listening today goes away with a feeling of needing to make change inside their organization. The issue is there is a need for change, the cultural change of seeing this at the very heart of where the bank is going in the future. If it isn't, my guess is you might be one of those banks that Gartner feels may not be a survivor at some stage in the future. And 2030 is not that far away. Thank you very much for your contributions, and good luck with your changes in the future. Thank you very much.